Are we ready to get started with the speaker? First is Mr. Jesse Koren. Award-winning million-dollar mentors Jesse Koren, along with his wife and business partner Charlotte Jacobs, have been proclaimed as the leading authorities in holistic business training. After struggling to build their own practices and then figuring out a heart-based method for attracting tons of clients, they have taught over 10,000 coaches, holistic practitioners, and other heart-based entrepreneurs how to increase their business success. They have supported over 600 third-world entrepreneurs through sales of their book, Sell is Not a Four-Letter Word, How to Serve More Clients and Create a Six-Figure Practice. After going from 0 to $175,000 in their first year of Rejuvenate training, they have now given over $3 million of scholarships to holistic practitioners and coaches who are ready to attract more clients and earn six figures and beyond in their business. You can learn more about them at rejuvenatetraining.com. And the reason, this is the second time I have him here as a speaker. And the reason is because when I took Rejuvenate Your Practice, that completely shifted my career. And so it's something that I really want to give back to the community because I so believe in them. And there's a lot of Rejuvenate training people here. Can you guys go, woo? So they know how amazing it is, and they're truly coming from the heart, and they really want to make a big difference, and they are making such a huge difference. They get holistic practitioners like nobody else does. So please, a huge warm welcome to Mr. Jesse Koren.
Thank you so much. And first, I just want to thank, is Connie Costa absolutely freaking amazing? And I'm actually privileged to know Connie behind the scenes, and the thing that I love about you the most, Connie, is that you, like a lot of people talk about caring, but you really care about people, and you fight for people. You want the best for people. So if you're thinking about going to Italy, definitely go forget Italy. Just go compete with Connie and her amazing crew. So well, in our trainings we give love whooshes. So just go ahead and rub your hands together like this, and we'll give her a whoosh that sends her back about a foot. How about that? Ready? And whoosh. Awesome. Thanks. That was awesome. That was great. Awesome. And the thing I know about anyone who is attracted to Connie's work and to this kind of a dinner is you all are movers and shakers. I've met a lot of you this dinner and also in our community and also the last time I was here as well. So I just want to say thank you. It's an honor to be a speaker in the midst of so many powerful speakers, holistic practitioners, coaches, and heart-based entrepreneurs. And so for me, it's just a privilege to be here. So thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. How about that? Beautiful. So Connie shared about myself, and since I only have about 20 minutes to be up on stage, I'm going to skip the part about me and talk about what it takes to make a six-figure income in business within a year. Does that sound like a good thing to spend the next 20 minutes on? Yeah. Okay. Raise your hand if you have a business right now or want to have a business that you're about to start. Okay? So if you do not have a business and don't want to have a business, then just listen for the couple of gems that you're going to get about just how to be a great person in the meantime. Okay? If you have a business, then this is going to be hopefully very relevant. For us, there are 7 major building blocks to growing a six-figure business. And the first one is that you have a vision. And what I mean by a vision is a clear picture and a kinesthetic feeling of what it feels like to step into your future 1 year from now and at the peak of your success. So what does that feel like? What does that look like? So if you were to step into that movie, what would that be like? And that vision is something that inspires you because there are so many things that can take you down. And so when you get in touch with that vision and you're lit up by it, what happens is you don't have to struggle to get out of bed in the morning. That vision wakes you up. Now, the biggest mistake that I see people make about their vision is they either make their vision too big or too small. And by too big, it's like, I want to impact millions of people, and they're only seeing 3 clients at the time. So it can feel very overwhelming, like it's like Mount Everest to get to where you are. The other mistake is just to go too small, which is like, I want 5 or 6 or 7 more clients just so I can pay the bills this week. That would be awesome. That's not going to do very much for you either. So some people have asked, well, how do you know if you have a big enough vision? And I would say that the secret is very counterintuitive. And the secret is, if your negative voices, your gremlins, your fears are not coming up, then your vision is too small. Because I believe that business is the spiritual path, or at least my spiritual path. And what I love about business is when you create that big vision, not too big, but big enough. And I love the Jonathan Kozel quote that goes like this: pick battles big enough to win, and sorry. Trying to be very profound here, it didn't work. So, very sexy. A whole other subject. Pick battles small enough to win and big enough to matter. Pick battles small enough to win and big enough to matter. Now, if your vision is big enough, what happens is you will start to feel like, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, who am I to do this? And all those feelings of, I've got to do this alone, I can't get help, all those feelings are going to come up. And what happens is, when business is a spiritual path, you look forward to that, because that's the cue that you get to heal yourself. So create that big vision, and then it's like calling those, a lot of people call them gremlins. So it's kind of like going, and you can say this with me, you can be like, "Yeah, gremlins," and then you just give them a big kiss, and hug them, and get slime all over you. But at least you're tangling with your gremlins for a good cause. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So the first key is you want to have a vision. The second one is, when those negative beliefs come up, I want you to absolutely embrace them, heal them, work with people like Connie and Sarah and Brooke Still. And Brooke Still, really enjoyed meeting you tonight. Work with people like that and other people in this room to heal yourself so you can stay on your path. Once you have your vision and you've transformed some of your negative beliefs, what happens is you need a vehicle to get clients, because that's what creates the income, is the clients. And that's how you get to make a difference, is the clients. So when you have that vehicle, you are in a position to make the difference that you want to make. And for us, we've tried all kinds of things. You know, we've tried passing out business cards, we've tried newspaper ads, we've tried posting flyers, we've tried praying, we've tried meditating, we've tried everything that we could think of. And for me, the best way to get clients is to get really good at having one-on-one conversations with people that lead to business. And for us, we call that heart selling. Heart as in the thing that beats in your chest. And when you get good at that, what I found is that almost every single, well, without an exception, everyone who I admire and respect who's making 7 figures or high 6 figures is a really good heart seller. The definition of heart selling for us is an inspired conversation that leads to action. An inspired conversation that leads to action. And when you master that, it's hard to keep clients away. So I have 2 tips about it now. There's 5 elements which we cover in the workshop that Connie was talking about, called the Rejuvenate Your Practice 2-Day Intensive. I don't even have time to talk about one of them, but I want to give you 2 quick tips. That'd be okay? Yeah. Yes or no?
Yes.
If you don't want to hear them, just close your ears. And if you don't want a business, these are good tips for life. So the first one is always leave people in a better place. Always leave people in a better place. So if you have a conversation with someone, your goal is that when they walk out of that conversation, they're more inspired, more lit up, more excited about life than they were before. And if that's all you did, you would be a hot hard seller. The second thing, this might be a challenge for some of you. I'm not going to mention any names. No, just kidding. Is to talk less and listen more. And so hard selling is about asking powerful questions. Talk less and listen more. Talk less, 2 ears, 1 mouth. So for some people, you might dominate the conversations, and you may think that that's the way to get clients. But usually, clients come when they love being with you. And the way to love being with you is when you love being with them. Because they will be like, oh my God, I have no idea what this person does, but they're absolutely amazing. Why are they amazing? Because you think they're amazing. Does this make sense? So rather than trying to be interesting, you become interested in them. Capiche? Okay. Go ahead and just look at your neighbor next to you who's talking too much over dinner and say, just give him that look of like, did you hear this? I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. Not trying to create any more awkwardness. Okay. So that's the 5 elements of hard selling. Now, hard selling is mostly about listening, but there are a couple of things that you need to be able to state really well. And even though people may fall in love with you, it is good for them to know what you do so that they can refer people to you and see whether they'd be a good match. So most holistic practitioners and coaches and heart-based entrepreneurs, when you ask them what they do, it is an absolute freaking train wreck. One of 2 things happens. Either it's one of 4 things. Either it's overwhelming, it's scary, it's boring, or it's confusing. 90% of the time, unfortunately. And so, I'll give you an example. You want me to give you an example? Yeah. So, okay. When we first started, I remember I was in training to be a coach, and I was in training, so I wasn't quite ready to be a coach, but I was like, I am going to finally declare that I'm a coach, because up until that point, I was like, I'm training to be a coach, but then it was like the big announcement was happening. So I was going to this party, and I remember I was standing by the chips and the salsa, and this really hot woman comes up to me, and she's like, so, what do you do? And this voice, like it was like the voice of God, was like, now is your chance to tell her what you do. Own your value. And I said, I am a coach. And she's like, what kind of coach? Like a soccer coach? Basketball? Like she just was completely confused. So I'll give you 2 mistakes. So one mistake is to talk about the title of what you do. Even though you love the certifications that you've gotten and the titles and all the training, most of your clients don't love that unless they're also getting the same kind of certifications and training. Most people don't go around thinking, I hope that I run into an EFT practitioner today. Right? The other thing to avoid is talking about the process of what you do. Nobody cares about the process of what you do. The reason why I know that is a very embarrassing word called colonics. Right? So why on earth would someone stick a tube where the sun doesn't shine? Not because of the process of how it feels. Sorry, actually, I probably shouldn't tell that joke at a restaurant. That was like terrible. I'm like, usually people laugh at that, but we're in a restaurant, so that's fine. Okay, sorry about that. But it does prove the point that nobody really cares about the process of what you do. What they care about is A word that starts with an R? The results. They care about the results of what you can do for them. So next time you share what you do, talk about it. Instead of talking about your title or your process, what are you going to talk about? The results. Beautiful. The next thing that it's really good to know how to share confidently is they may be very interested, and of course they're going to ask, what? How much do you charge? How much do you charge? So when they ask how much do you charge, most people become very stammery for good reason, because there's a lot of self-esteem and worth connected with your rate. It can feel like I don't want to disappoint people, I don't want to let them down, I don't want them to not take me seriously. There's so much wrapped up in how much you charge. And so the key here is you've got to find a way to share how much you charge in a way where people get your value, get that you're serious, and that you're congruent with what you charge. So we do a whole exercise at the Rejuvenate Your Practice 2-day intensive. But for now, can I give you a couple of quick tips? Would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay. So one tip is, especially if you're just getting started, a lot of coaches say, charge your worth, which can feel like a lot of pressure. Because how much am I worth? I don't know. Is it $500? I know someone else who charges $500 an hour, but it isn't me. I don't know. And you can just get into a tailspin about that. So my advice to you is, especially if you're nervous and you're just getting started, to be generous with your rates. The idea is to gain confidence, and when you gain confidence, you will become disgusted with your price, and you will raise it out of disgust. Does this make sense? The second thing is, usually, how much you charge has very little to do with whether people can afford it or not. What matters more is that you're congruent with your price. If you're congruent, people will say yes to something that they didn't realize that they could afford because you're congruent. So find a way to get congruent with your rate. You can muscle test it. There's all different ways to get congruent with it. We do an exercise, but find a way to get congruent. Okay. So, did someone sneeze? God bless you. Okay. So, and God bless all of us, because in this economy, no matter how much you charge, someone is going to have to say, I can't afford it. And that is, it's really hard to say that without getting small and contracting. Oftentimes, I can't afford it is a smokescreen for all kinds of stuff underneath. Because what we all know is that if your life was on the line, or someone that you loved dearly, you would find a way to make whatever happen to save your life. 10,000, 100,000, whatever. You could find a way to come up with that money. So really, the I can't afford a conversation has to do with one thing and one thing alone. It is, which is bigger? Your circumstances or your commitment? So when someone's commitment is bigger than their circumstances, untold miracles and magic happens. On the other hand, if they're not present to their commitment, the smallest circumstance can take someone out. The smallest circumstance, like, I don't want to travel 5 minutes to get to your workshop, can take someone out if they're not present to their commitment. So I can talk for hours about that. But the key that I can tell you in terms of walking the talk is your job as a heart seller, if you take that on, is to say yes to your highest commitment. When you say yes to your highest commitment, you will expect other people to say yes to their highest commitment. And you will be a truth detector for that highest commitment. So when I'm talking with someone and we're having a heart selling conversation, I used to get attached, I will admit, but I'm not attached anymore most of the time. Because all I'm really doing is I'm scanning for what is their highest commitment and can we help with that. If we can, they'll say yes. If we can't, then they'll say no. This making sense?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So that's the I can't afford it conversation. The last of the 7, and I'll review them very quickly in just a moment. The last of the 7 secrets, or strategies, or building blocks, is leverage. Because some of you here, if you're not already here, you're going to get here very quickly. You have a full practice, or a full business of clients, and it's now time to start freeing yourself from that business. And what I can tell you is that when you are, when you're trading time for dollars, you will find that it can be a trap. You can't go on vacation, you can't get hurt, you can't get sick, etc. So there's 5 leverage strategies that we teach at that workshop. The number 1, actually I'll give you my favorite strategy, which is speaking to groups. Because the 1 hour that you spend with a client one-on-one could be spent with a group of 50 or 100 or 200 or whatever the case may be, 1,000, 2,000. So that same hour that you can spend one-on-one could be spent with an entire group, where you're either being paid to speak or you are in a position where you have an offering to make next. So, speaking of which, I do have an offering. Would it be okay if I shared that with you? Yeah. In the last 2 minutes that we have together. Okay, great. So, what do you think I'm going to offer? A workshop called the Rejuvenate Your Practice 2-Day Intensive. And this weekend has been attended by thousands of people all over the country, and people even fly in from other countries to come to this weekend. It is my life's joy. We've had so many people graduate from this weekend and then go on to make 6 figures. I can actually tell you the one common trait that I've found with all of our graduates who are now making 6 figures. Is it okay if I tell you that?
Yes.
With them? I'll just step out of the offer for a second. Okay, so the biggest thing, you could take all of our 6-figure graduates and put them in one room. One room. And you would see that some are smaller and some are bigger, some are older and some are younger, some are very charismatic and outgoing, others are very shy and introverted. You would find some have brown hair, some have blonde hair. You'd find the whole spectrum of things, but the one thing that puts them above all of the other people is courage that fuels their commitment. The courage that fuels their commitment. And so it's my honor and privilege to see so many people graduate from that weekend, make 6 figures, and then come back and show, not just through their, the amount of money that they're making, but through their way of being, the transformation that's happened as they've made those 6 figures, who they truly are. That's where I get my joy. In terms of what we cover those 7 building blocks in the weekend. So we'll do an exercise to help you get your vision. We'll do a very powerful, in fact, I was talking to someone who's been to the weekend, who said, just tonight, who said that I'm not good enough belief just disappeared during this transformational exercise. So we transform your nastiest gremlin into power. And so that's the second thing. The third thing that we do is the heart-selling conversation. So we go through the 5 elements. You get them in your bones so that you're leaving people in a better place and listening with powerful coaching questions. Then we give you a template to talk about what you do. So no longer will you bore people, overwhelm people, scare people, or confuse people when you share your what do you do statement. We will also go through your how much you charge. So some people, actually 95% or more of the people give themselves a raise when they come to the workshop because they've stepped into a new level of value and self-esteem. So I'll help you do that. We'll give you the 3 magic questions that have turned at least 50% of the I can't afford it into yes for our team. It's been responsible for hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales, if not millions of dollars of sales, made over $5 million in the last several years. And a lot of that can be attributed to these 3 magic questions to say when someone says, I can't afford it. So we'll give you that. And then we'll go through the 5 leverage strategies so you're no longer trading time for dollars and you're rocking the house and being paid for your value, not for your time. Say that with me. I get paid for my value, not for my time. Beautiful. Awesome. So the weekend goes for $9.97, and because I'm here, and because I love you, and because I want to work with every single one of you, I'm going to do something. I'm going to give you a very nice discount. How does that sound? Does that sound? If you don't want the discount, then just pay the full price. The discount is I'm going to give you a $997 discount. In other words, you can come as my guest. You can come on full scholarship. The only thing that I ask is that you put down a $100 deposit, which we will refund when you arrive at the weekend. So you're welcome to come as our guest. We have a weekend coming up this weekend, actually. So this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, here in LA. You're welcome to join us for that weekend. If you think I'm funny, then I'm funnier at the weekend, put it that way. Or at least I like to think so. So we will have a lot of fun, we'll rock the house, and what I can promise you is that you will leave the weekend feeling inspired, excited, and with tools to attract clients immediately. So if cash flow is an issue for you right now, this is the place to be. So, I love you no matter what you say, and no matter what you do in terms of this decision. And the last thing I want to leave you with, and I want to close this with, is that right now there are people who are waiting for you. If you think about someone who, they've changed your life, like think about a mentor whose life, totally distracting right now. Think about someone who changed your life. There are hundreds, if not thousands of people who are waiting for you to change theirs. And so if we could be that bridge, it would be my absolute honor. Thank you so much for having me. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to welcome back to the stage the amazing, the powerful, the awesome Connie Costa. Okay, so 5-minute break.